So we're around halfway through Andor and I wanted to post a video about it and why in my opinion it's much better than Obi-Wan Kenobi and the Book of Boba Fett so far. And no, this video doesn't just exist to hate on Kenobi and Book of Boba and praise Andor for being the best thing ever, because it's not. While it's phenomenal in my opinion, it has its flaws. And while Kenobi and Boba were, in my opinion, mediocre, they had their good moments. But I do think that Andor was far better than both of them by a mile in many aspects. Production value, writing, directing, acting, tone, world building, character building, quality, choreography, cinematography, and much, much more. It's kinda sad that Disney seems to have put more effort into a series about the dude from Rogue One who died at the end than a series about the revered and beloved Jedi Obi-Wan Kenobi, who was played by Ewan McGregor and accompanied by Hayden Christensen as Vader, who both returned after nearly 2 decades. So just to prove to you that I'm not biased and just a guy who wants to dislike Boba Fett shows and like Cassian Andor shows, let me point out some things that I disliked about the show. Let's talk about the episode endings. The way the episodes end do feel natural, but they also feel sudden and needlessly abrupt. I was genuinely surprised when each episode ended. I was like, whoa, that's it? More! Yep, that was me. 6 times every time an episode ended, and yes, unfortunately, that's my only negative. Except for maybe this abomination of a person. Okay, now let's get into why I think Andor is much better than Kenobi and the Book of Boba Fett so far. To keep it simple, we can start off with writing and directing. The writing in Andor, in my opinion, is absolutely phenomenal. There's one solid storyline that is perfectly directed and reinforced by the slow and precise pacing, giving time for the story to unfold. And unlike the storylines of Kenobi and Boba Fett, Andor's storyline isn't only centered around Cassian Andor, the main protagonist. It affects many people such as Luthen, Bix, the Rebel Alliance, the PX Marlana, and also the Empire. Andor doesn't feel too rushed and takes tons of time to tell the viewer what exactly is going on. However, it also manages to do the opposite all at the same time. It gives the viewer some problems to work through, like figuring out how Primor put together the pieces leading to Cassian Andor, how old Cassian Andor is as of the present day events of the series, and so much more. There are subtle hints of things you just theorize, like Cyril Karn joining the Empire or Rebellion, those Republic officers in the flashbacks maybe actually being separatists, and Luthen's origins as maybe a former senator perhaps. Anyway, the direction is amazing as well. The action scenes are tense and exciting, although we already know our main protagonist is going to survive the events of this series. Putting characters under stakes naturally makes us root for them, and we feel that way for Cassian, although we already know he's going to walk out of his spin-off without a single scratch, or maybe 1 or 2. Anyway, compare these topics to those same topics in the other 2 series, Boba Fett and Kenobi. Boba Fett failed to interest me too much because the main character was always so weak and a straight-up good guy, almost the opposite of the Boba Fett we know and love in the original trilogy. In Kenobi, the character goes through an arc, but the story feels so stretched out and the narrative isn't very solid. Obi-Wan goes out to save Princess Leia, and that's it. I thoroughly believe the show would bring us a much more important and compelling narrative than just another Save the Child story that Mandalorian did. But no, Kenobi did that, again. Andor's story is clear and unfolds right from the beginning. He kills 2 guards, and now those guards' bosses are looking for him. He escapes off-world with a dude who wants him to help him for money, and he agrees. The dude needs him to help the early rebellion, which is slowly forming to fight the Empire. See? A simple yet compelling story. Another good thing Andor does is make the Empire feel dangerous. In Episode 5, a TIE fighter zooms in close to the rebels, and it feels tense and exciting. It feels dangerous and perilous. In a show like Kenobi, that would have been no big deal for the main characters. But in Andor, the lack of Empire makes it scarier when the Empire actually appears. Okay, let's move on to acting. While Ewan McGregor and Pedro Pascal are outstanding actors, Andor, in my opinion, has the best acting in any Star Wars show. I know I'm probably starting a cantina brawl in the comments, but that's okay. Remember, this is all just my opinion. Some people out there hate Andor and think it's the worst piece of media ever. But anyway, the acting in this show is outstanding. The dialogue feels natural and the awesome acting reinforces it with a realistic tone and feel, helping the viewer to relate into the character and get the story.
Don't you want to fight these bastards for you?
That's what a reckoning sounds like.
Brilliant.
So now let's talk about pacing. This topic has been quite controversial among the fandom, some saying it's boring, while others saying it's nice and fresh. But they do agree on one thing. It's slow. It's really very slow. If Andor had the pacing of a show like Book of Boba Fett, by episode 2 we would be with the rebellion, and by episode 3 the garrison attack would be happening. Now, this pacing is both a good thing and a bad thing, in my opinion. Sometimes the pacing is very slow and some of the scenes just feel unnecessary, but other times the pacing helps make the story more precise and interesting. For me, it's a mix of both. Okay, we're on to music. The music in Andor is absolutely phenomenal. Nicholas Bridell did an amazing job on the music for the show. The intro theme alone is outstanding. And have you noticed that the instruments used to play the intro change each episode? Yep, it's true. And the music is interesting and different in a good way. It feels perfect for what we're seeing at the moment, whether it's a B2 emo moment on Ferrix, an Easter egg hunt in Kenari, an insightful scene with Cassian and Lucen, an awkward chemistry scene between Bix and Cassian, or a brutal fight scene with Cassian and two guards. Also, the end of episode 3 is living proof of Nicholas Britell's genius. The music is gorgeous as the scenes flash back and forth from flashbacks to present, then flashbacks again. And then the episode ends with a tear-bringing 6th chord. Also, it was quite genius to use the ending music of episode 3 and episode 5 too. Peak Star Wars. So, in conclusion, Andor is one of the best pieces of Star Wars I've seen in years. Mandalorian was awesome too though. Don't worry about that. I'll fight with myself about which is better after Andor is done, which isn't in a while. So maybe I'll do another of these videos soon again. I have no deadlines in plan except for a weekly upload each Saturday. Maybe I'll upload on Sunday occasionally. By occasionally, I mean around twice a year, so stick around for that. Bye.